Hey, Jimbo, you ready for this deal?
Ah.
Old stories like long lost friends, rodeos and late night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, cowboys of the Osage.
Howdy, friends and neighbors. Time once again for the Cowboys of the Osage podcast with your host, Jimbo Snively and Cody Garnett. Now let's sing a little bit about it. Cowboys of the Osage, riding once again. Always got some time for a friend. And here they are, the Cowboys of the Osage.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Cowboys of the Osage podcast. Brought to you by the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum, the Buck and Flamingo Turquoise Shop, and the Saucy Calf, traditional Native American food, all located in historic downtown Pawhuska, Oklahoma. Hey, it's old Cody over here, and as always, I have my main man with me, Mr. Rodeo historian himself, Mr. Western historian himself, Jimbo Snively. Good morning, Jimbo. Good to see you. Where are we at? Who are we talking to today?
Hey, Cody boy, it's another great day in Osage, but we're not quite in Osage.
We're on the line.
Just a little,
almost.
yeah, we're on the line practically. And Cody, you know, Bob Wills is probably one of the most iconic names in I started to say country music, but I think in all of music. You know, he influenced so many people, musicians and singers and bands and everything that he's never be forgotten. And you just see his influence everywhere. And he was so popular. Of course, he's known as the king of Western swing and all that. And he was just like Elvis was later on, you know, practically. And anyway, I feel like we're sitting amongst royalty here today because we've got his daughter. A lot of people don't know that he married a Pawhuska girl in 1939, Mary Lou Parker. And they had a daughter, Rosetta, 1940, and I'm sitting right next to Rosetta Wills.
That's right.
And to my left is her daughter, Renee Diamond, which is Bob's granddaughter.
Look at Jimbo sitting between those two girls over there.
I know it. And wow. Grew up in Pawhuska, huh?
Absolutely, all my life.
Yeah. Have you been back lately?
No, I haven't. I would love to go. I visited there, but not recently.
Yeah, well, you need to come back and visit. It's changed a little bit.
Yeah, I imagine it has. Yeah.
You went through high school and everything there, right?
Went through high school there, sure did. Mm-hmm.
Your dad, he played in Osage County a lot, didn't he?
Yes. I used to go to the dances when I was old enough to do it.
Right. When your grandma would let you go?
Well, yeah, she did.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't understand that, but she did.
Right.
You know?
But he played in the Whiting Hall there in right downtown Pawhuska.
That's right.
And he played Fairfax over there. And then he played a place they called the Big Beaver over by Scheidler a lot.
Now, I didn't go there to Big Beaver, but I remember the name. Right.
Cody, the Big Beaver was an old oil field pump station that when it closed, they converted it into a dance hall. And it was right out in the middle of nowhere, pretty much, right on Beaver Creek over west of Scheidler. And they worried that nobody'd show up. But when Bob showed up and it went to getting dark, that place filled up. I don't know where they all came from.
They said all the old guys that worked at the Chapman Barnard, that's where they'd go every time it was open.
Right. Yeah. The Big Beaver. Crazy. But anyway, what was it like being Bob Wills' daughter?
Well, you know, at the time, I didn't think very much about it. You know, they were divorced, my mother, you know, and, you know, she wasn't very kind about him.
Yeah.
You know, divorced people are.
Right.
I got an
According
ex-wife
to her,
like that.
he was, you know what?
Right. But your grandma liked him.
Oh, yeah, Grandma liked him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was very popular. Everybody liked him, really. He had just that kind of personality.
Yeah. Wonder what, it's funny to me that he didn't even sing. But he was the star. What made him the star?
Oh,
Just
gosh.
his personality, or?
Yeah, I would say it was personality, and he was a good-looking man.
Yeah, he's a good-looking man.
Handsome
Well,
man.
and I think I have I have had a lot of people tell me that when Bob Wills was on a stage, how can I say? There was a time when there were a lot of 75 and 80-year-olds that would be at these events.
Right.
And of course, they're not anymore,
Right.
But they would say, like, I played a horn or I played this instrument, and when I was on the stage with your grandfather, I played my best because he put me with a musician that made me be my best. Like, I
Right.
think his ability to pair the right people at the right time with the right song was almost magical. Not only did he know the music inside of him, but he knew how to make the musicians
Right.
feel, I
Right.
don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
and maybe it's all urban myth.
Yeah. Well,
But
whatever he had,
yeah.
it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was just like a king, practically, back in that time. And
Yeah.
I read a story one time, he played on that Tulsa KVOO radio show, every day at noon. He'd come on, and people would plan their day around listening to him, and all the field hands that were out in the field, they'd come in to eat lunch, and they'd listen to Bob on the radio.
That's
Well, one day,
right.
I think it was July 25th, 1940, he didn't come on.
Yeah, that's my birthday.
And
That's when I
people
was
just
born.
threw a fit and calling and couldn't figure out where Bob was. And to come to find out, he was at the Pawhuska Hospital
Yeah.
while you were being born.
That's right. That's right.
Right, sweet talking a nurse.
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
was.
probably.
Probably.
Well, he was on the phone with his
Yeah.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
You never knew about what he might do.
Were you born in that hospital, listening?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my wife, I was asking my wife off.
Oh.
Okay. Because,
Pawhuska Hospital?
yeah. 'Cause my brother was, John was.
Yeah. I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
Okay.
But that's just a crazy story. I thought, that, and they said the only other time that he interrupted, that he didn't come on, was 1938 or 9. Adolf Hitler came on, and he was trying to take over the world at that time, and they played his speech, and everybody was really mad then that they played Adolf Hitler's speech instead of the Texas Playboys.
Hear music.
Yeah, I know it. But
Yeah.
what crazy times. And they said when he was dating your mom, he'd drive up on Sunday. Cody was the only day he had off. They played all the rest of the time, and he'd drive up from Tulsa to see Mary Lou, Rosetta's mom, and people got used to it, and they'd line the streets, line the highway, and at Barnesville they'd sit on those steps, and I can just imagine the steps they were sitting on right there on the corner, and to watch Bob go by, and they'd wave at him.
That's right. That's right. He
And
was.
Grandma Parker looking out the window. I can only imagine the anxiety of that house.
Yeah,
know?
they lived on 9th Street, and they said people would just drive up and down 9th Street just to see Bob's big car.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. He created quite a stir when he came to that small town.
That had to be the biggest thing happening in Pawhuska in a long time, Cody.
Gotta be, Jimbo.
Bob Wills. Wow.
My grandmother.
Why don't we got a street named after him there?
Well, there should be.
I agree.
You need to work on that.
We have one here in Tulsa.
What about the highway between Barnesville and Skytooth?
Yeah, that'd work. But
Instead of up with trees, we can do an up with Bob.
That's right.
right. But those are the good old days for sure. And he was so popular
Oh yes.
that when he come to play, the whole town would turn out.
Yes.
And the story about your mom, when he met your mom, I thought that was pretty funny. Cody, it's right across the street from the Saucy Cab, the Simple Simons. That used to be the old packing house.
Okay.
And Bob's bass player, I think it was, a guy by the name of Ferguson, his mom and dad worked in that packing house.
Yeah.
And they'd always stop at that packing house when they'd come to Pawhuska to play to visit with Joe Ferguson's parents.
Yeah.
And they'd eat a little candy or something. Then they'd go out to the pig stand and eat.
The pig stand. Oh yes.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a popular place. As when I was in high school, pig stand was a popular place.
Right,
yeah.
right, for sure. But anyway, Mary Lou, through a friend, got to go to the packing house and meet Bob and all of them. And then they all went out to the pig stand to eat, and she met the saxophone player. I forget what his name was. Charles Lawton. And they made what they called a Coke date at that time. Well, she said, after the show, we'll have a little date, you know. Well, anyway, she gets all dressed up to meet this Charles Lawton, and she can't find him at the dance.
Right.
And she looks all over for him, but Bob sees her. He remembered her from when he'd met her earlier, and he called her up there to the stage and said, I don't know what happened to Charles. He up and quit today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. And anyway, so they had the dance, and here's another coincidence. When the dance was over, your mom went out to the car to get in that she came with, and the friends that she came with, and they just happened to have a flat tire. And Bob just happened to drive up about that time.
That's right. Saved her.
Yeah, he was pretty sneaky, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I
he was.
think we have laws against that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know?
He said, "Can I give you a ride home?" And she said, "Well, I don't know." But anyway, he ended up giving her a ride home. That's how the romance started, I
Yeah,
guess.
that was the beginning.
Well,
That's
and
true.
I don't know, once again, it's been forever since I read the book, but the way that Mary Lou always portrayed it to me was she was like, I was so cute, I could care less about him. He
Right.
did, he just went after me and went after me and went after me, and then finally, and so when I think about, I think everyone in the world was in love with him but her.
Right,
I think
right,
she
right.
was sort of like,
that's
I
probably
don't know,
why-
the old man.
It's probably why it worked, but
Yeah.
because she wasn't
She
crazy
loved the
after him.
music,
Yeah.
she loved the friendship with the bands, but once she became a mom, she didn't want to be in the house with his family,
Right, yeah, because he moved her down there in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Wonder where that house was. Do you have any idea?
I know people still consider, well, God, I wish I should have read the book again because it's been so long. But I think someone still lives there and says, like, this is Bob Wills's, they call it like his ranch, I believe.
Right.
The guy at Cain's can tell you all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but there are still people that I don't know if they're relatives, but they're definitely considered, like it's known to be his property.
Well, the pictures in the book, it looks like it's out in the middle of nowhere, but I bet it's all grown up now.
Yeah, I know. Well,
No
like
doubt.
my high school on 41st and Harvard was considered the country then, so, and now it's, so,
Right.
yeah.
But,
yeah, I think my mom's story, if I'm correct, there was a production company that bought the rights to it, and I'm telling you, I can just picture this scene with my 18-year-old, the Coke bottle figure, Mary Lou, and then her mother, who's like closer to age than Bob,
yeah.
and you can just imagine. And then I think, he started writing her letters when she was like 17,
Yeah.
and then they got married. He was 37.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a lot older than her.
Yeah. But that going back to that first night, she had on a red dress, according to the book, and as soon as she got away from her mom, your grandma, she put on some real bright red lipstick that would match her dress. But anyway,
Yeah.
She loved to have fun. That
Yeah.
lady had fun all her life.
when Bob saw her, he made the band play "Who's That Girl with the Red Dress On."
Yeah,
He knew how to work it.
yeah,
Old Bob did.
Yeah.
yeah. But I
He's
think
sly
she
old
did play,
fox.
I
Yeah,
think
he
she
was.
did play hard to get for a lot of, for a good
Yeah.
year or two. And then I think Grandma Parker was just like, nope, you're 18 and he's Bob Wilson. Y'all are getting married. Are you kidding me?
Right. I think Grandma Parker liked him pretty good, didn't
Oh
she?
yeah. Well, everybody did, but she did.
She might have liked him better than your mom. Right?
I think
Probably closer
for
to her
sure
age.
she did.
Than to my mother's
She would
age.
save his little cigar butts after he left. My
Right.
grandma would have just thrown them out. You know,
Right.
she had no interest in serving him coffee. But boy, Grandma Parker was just thrilled to have him. Yeah, and I don't mean to be talking so much,
No, that's
but,
great.
and I mean, honestly, he was married at the end of his life to the same woman, had a wonderful family. But,
Right.
we all
Right.
know now that 50 is the new 20 or whatever, they 30.
Right.
So his behavior was appropriate for that time, I'm sure.
I guess.
But, yeah.
But he was a star. He was a big country star.
I mean, it's funny. People either really get it and they're like, wow, or they think, I don't like country music, and then they let it
Mm-hmm.
go,
Yeah, but I don't know that you can really put him in one category,
When Lyle Lovett introduced him, I think, to get his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame award, and when I was thinking, and then I also saw Lyle Lovett perform in Austin with my mom, and I was thinking that big band, that was kind of Bob's thing too, but from what I understood, I think it was just the whole concept of, for one thing, the radio, and then the fact that there were recording musicians, which was, like earlier we were talking about total new technology, the idea of my music being on a recording that you can play whenever you want, that was just seemed so bad and scary and would put people out of jobs, But, man, I lost my train of thought. Is that what happens?
Okay. I do that all the time. Yeah, but like I say, he wasn't just a traditional country music. He took a little bit of jazz and
he put
this
drums
and that.
with strings, and that was like
never
a
happened
combination
before.
That was.
I forget where I was reading in the book. He was playing somewhere, and he wanted to use his drums. It might have been Las Vegas.
It was the Grand Ole Opry.
Okay, was it Grand Ole Opry?
Yeah.
And he wanted to use his drums, and they said, no, you can't have drums. And so you put them behind the curtain where nobody can see them. So he put them behind the curtain, and then as soon as they started, he said, let's get them drums out here.
Yeah, he's the first person to have drums on the Grand Ole Opry stage. They said it was a black man's instrument, and then Bob said, but my drummer's a white man. And then they said, well, put a curtain up in front of it.
Yeah, but then just as soon as it started, said, get them drums out here where we can see them.
Yeah. Once again, it could be urban myth, but the story I think I have told everyone was that he pulled the curtain down, or he pulled the sheet down himself.
Might have. But, wow. Now, he moved to California when you were a little girl, didn't he? And then you didn't see him for...
Yeah, he was gone. I still stayed in Pawhuska.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. According to the book, the first time you saw him, your grandma took you to Fairfax, which was Jumps.
Yeah.
And he was going to play there that night. And y'all were sitting there, and his big yellow Cadillac, I think it was, pulled up over there on the other side at the gas station.
Yes.
And your grandma said, get over there and tell him who you are.
Yeah, and I did.
Yeah.
I did. God, I was just a little kid, really.
Was he surprised to see you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just did what Grandma told me to do.
Right.
I was a
little
girl. Okay, Grandma, I'll do that.
Yeah. And then he said, well, get in the car and we'll go across the street to your grandma. And you didn't want to get in the car. Your grandma told you not to get in with.
I know. Yeah. He was a stranger to me.
Right.
I'm going to get in that car with him.
Yeah. That's too funny.
I know.
But y'all had a good visit that day, and I think he always sent you. After that, he always sent you birthday and Christmas gifts. And
And he always paid child support.
Yeah. Well.
He did.
Yeah.
Y'all two had enough money, or making enough money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But.
$25 a month.
Yeah.
Which I have no idea how that plays out in time, but apparently that was the rate. Yeah. And he didn't always have his finances. Sometimes things went crazier.
Yeah.
I think he sold some of his music out of financial duress. And this, once again, fact checks are scaring me. But from what the lore was that regardless, no matter what, the check came every single month for my mom. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And Robbie Joe.
Right.
Believe, yeah.
Right.
And then, of course, he was in a home and raised his other children.
Right,
But
sure.
my mom and her other half-sister were not in the house.
Right,
But they always got
right.
their child support.
Right. When he went to California, he made quite a few movies.
Yeah.
You watch any of his movies?
Yeah. It's been a long time ago, though, since I have. I mean,
right.
I don't know if I even remember them, but I did at the
Right,
time.
right. Did you ever have any trouble with telling those kids that was your daddy? Did they all believe you?
No, yeah. No, they didn't think anything about it. Big deal,
Really?
So what is your dad,
But didn't you always, you said that you would cringe over Big Balls in Cowtown. You hated it when that song was popular because on the playground the kids would make fun of it or something.
Yeah.
Like that song.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones.
I know, it is a good
I love that song.
But I can see as a 12-year-old being like, no, my dad's singing Big Balls in Cowtown.
Yeah, I didn't know what it meant when I was a kid either. I thought it
I still
meant balls,
don't.
Right.
I still don't really.
Right.
But
Right.
I think I do on many levels.
Two of his biggest songs were, of course, Faded Love and San Antonio Rose.
Oh, yeah.
And you know something I found unique about those two songs? They started out as instrumentals.
Yeah, I think he learned the songs from his uncles and then wrote the words to the melody. And I believe every month he would, kind of like his child support, I think for many years anyway, he would be certain that the man who he felt taught him that song, who I believe learned it from someone else, you know, that he also would help that man keep his lights on.
Right, well, that's great. But it was almost like, I forget if it was a movie or what, but they said, you need to write some lyrics to that. And he just threw something together kind of willy-nilly, and they were just gold. I mean, they were just great lyrics, you know. But they were almost like an afterthought, the lyrics were.
Yeah, he heard the songs all his childhood. And then I read one autobiography, or one book by someone else about him, and they said that he really wasn't interested in playing the fiddle until one of his cousins was trying and couldn't get it, and he was like, give me that thing, you know, and then he just did it right away just from the ear. But he had family that all.
He was a great fiddle player. I mean, world class, one of the best.
I know, but like you were saying earlier, I honestly thought his big gift was the band leader or MC type thing until I watched that Ken Burns documentary when other musicians were talking about his, you know, actual skill or whatever.
Right. Cody, do you know what the difference between a fiddle and a violin is? And Bob told this to Rosetta. He explained it to her. You carry a fiddle in a flour sack and a violin in a case.
Okay. All right. I like that, Jimbo.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
My favorite thing he did was he'd throw in one of them, you know, or you know.
What made Bob holler?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. He hollered a lot.
Yeah, he did.
I think it was a drum with a horn.
Yeah.
I think that's what made Bob holler.
But people would come just to hear him do that. You know, they'd be disappointed if he didn't holler.
It reminds me of like a mariachi, you know, going you know, every now and then.
Yeah.
But didn't the radio station guy want him to quit? Like
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think somebody didn't like it. You know.
What the heck?
Yeah, told him not to holler.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, that's kind of what he said. That's the best part, and he kept doing it.
That's right.
They didn't boss him around, did they?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he had control of it.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, unless you tied his mouth closed, I think he was going to
Yeah, he was going to do what he wanted. And there's been so many musicians that played for him that claimed to be former Texas Playboys. And I was reading it somewhere. It said, if as long as you played one time with Bob and got paid for it, you were a former Texas Playboy. You know.
Because he had a musician's list, not a band, and so anyone that wanted to be on his list could be on his stage.
Right.
You could take a break only to dance with a girl.
Right.
No, not to go drinking.
Right.
I would have been in trouble then.
Right.
I wonder if they had a triangle player in the band.
I don't know.
I would have been good.
That was your niche.
Playing the triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, I could have done the cowbell.
You could have done cowbell. I've done triangle.
You could have been a former Texas Playboy then. Put that on your resume.
Well, they're still touring. They're still touring. They were just in Pawhuska last week. The Playboys.
Yeah.
Need to see if they need a triangle player.
He can then that. What's his name? Jason, I think.
Oh,
Jason Roberts.
Yeah, he can do that really well. I heard it.
Did he do? Oh, he did it.
He does the and it sounds.
That's almost sacrilegious. Somebody else to do.
I wish I could do it, but the involuntary comes out, and I'm never proud of it at all.
Right. Well, did you go to California to see him, or were you ever out in California?
Well, I was in California, but I didn't go there to see him.
Yeah.
I was born. I lived in California for the first 6 years of my life.
Right.
But I think he was in Vegas by the time that was.
Yeah.
So.
As his granddaughter, what have you experienced by being Bob Wills' granddaughter?
Well, my favorite story is I married a New Yorker, and I was in a town, Nyack, right outside of you can see Manhattan across the Hudson River, and the bars don't ever close, and so my son was having his first birthday, and I'm nervous, and with my husband, and we're at this bar, and it's about 3:30 or 4 in the morning, and I'm sitting there with this man, and he kind of, in my drunken state anyway, my memory is, he kind of looked like Jerry Garcia, and he's about 65, maybe 55, 65, and so I'm talking to him, and I was like, well, we're here from Austin, and I'm here to have my son's birthday, and he goes, "How, Austin? Well, you're pretty young, but I don't suppose you've ever heard of a man named Bob Wills." And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact." And that man lost his mind, and then it ended up he was a music professor at Columbia University, and in the back of his car, he had like rows of CDs, all Western swing. Like I don't know, he was such a fan of the music, and to think that my first time being so far away in a home, and then, so the whole thing was bizarre, and then he came to my kid's birthday party the next day, so.
Wow.
But that was one of those times when, of course, the whole induction in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing was pretty cool, too. It really kind of hit home to me, what an icon he was.
Where'd they have that at?
We flew to New York, and I don't even remember how. I think Andrea might have been having a baby, but there were lots of reasons, and it just ended up that my mom and I got to go, and I didn't have a pass to sit at the dinner table, but she did, and I stole a backstage pass and hung around or something. But Paul McCartney told my mom that the big drums were something about the drums, and that he remembered listening to it as a little kid, and that was pretty interesting.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Cody, the John Lee Wills Stampede Rodeo, that started out, I didn't know this, it started out as the Bob Wills Rodeo. And
Yeah, he was really into that stuff.
right. And one night a bull got out and hurt a
Yes.
bunch of people. Kind of like it happened the other day.
Yeah, that's
Greeley
made
or
big
wherever
news.
that was.
Oregon, Sisters, Oregon.
Oh, yeah, Sisters Order. But anyway, bull got out and hurt some people, sent a lady to the hospital, and after that they called it the Bob Wills Stampede. And that's how it got the Stampede, and then it was renamed to Johnny Lee Wills Stampede sometime
Someone
later.
should fact check if there's a song called Big Beaver and a song called something about the Bob Wills Stampede, because
Right.
I'm pretty sure there are.
What about the song Rosetta? That was before you were named after that song, or
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was Mary Lou's favorite Bob Wills song.
yeah, probably was. Yeah.
Yep.
So
All
my
those things
brother
were so
had a
long
good
ago.
Bob Wills story, and since he's not alive, I could tell his.
Okay.
He was a drummer, very talented. We always had his band playing at our house when I was growing up. The band room was over the garage, and so they were doing something, and they were trying to make recordings. And so there was a guy that was over there, and he was helping with the recording, and he looked up at this bookshelf in the band room, and he said, "Oh, San Antonio Rose, my grandmother was married to Bob Wills." And my brother playing his drums, he goes, "Oh, so was mine." And they just continued on with the song. But it turns out that young kid, his grandmother was a violin instructor, and my grandfather had actually married her twice, but they had never had kids.
They even put Bob on a stamp,
Pardon?
a postage stamp. They put him on a postage stamp, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They did. Yeah, which is pretty famous.
Well,
I mean,
I
not very
think-
many people get that.
No, it's
done.
pretty short list
Yeah.
for sure.
Maybe a wanted poster, but not a postage.
Right. Right.
Why is Bob Wills so popular down in Turkey, Texas?
Oh, I think Bob Wills was just popular everywhere. He was a handsome man. The women were all crazy about him. The men probably didn't like him that much, because he was always
And he grew
flirting
up
with
there.
all their
He
women.
grew up in
But
Turkey.
Yeah, he grew
he
up
came
in-
from that area, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he grew up in his, like, I believe most of the songs that he made famous, he learned from his uncles and his grandparents. And since that music was their music and it came from them in Turkey, I think that's part of why I wish I had done, I wish I was.
It's still going on to this
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, 53, 54 years in a row, other than for COVID. They started doing Bob Wills Day in 1970.
I went one time, Jimbo, but I don't remember a whole lot about it.
Well.
I remember I had a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
They used to have a roping right down the road about 10, 15 miles from there in Flomont, Texas.
Right.
And you'd camp out all weekend there and rope. This is before everyone had the big rigs and everything. A few guys had a camper on the back of their truck, but everyone else, because there wasn't a hotel around, and you couldn't get one in Turkey because Bob Wills Days was going on. But
Right.
we slipped over the Bob Wills Days, and boy, howdy, I had a good time, Jimbo. That's all I remember about it.
Well,
And the Turkey Hotel is so nice now. They have a beautiful back patio, and then some those storage shipping containers turned into like little, small apartments, or different than in the hotel where you go up the stairs to your room. But it looks beautiful. The kitchen's all great. They have music usually on Saturday and Friday nights.
Yeah, I follow them on Facebook. I see they're always
Yeah.
having live music there at
It's really
Hotel Turkey or
Yep,
something like
Hotel
that.
Turkey, not the Turkey Hotel, because that's 45 minutes the other way or something. I've MapQuested myself to that darn hotel so many times.
I heard when you'd go to a concert to see somebody, no matter who it was, like somebody'd tell him that Bob Wills' daughter's in the house, and he'd say something about it, and they'd play a Bob Wills song or something sometimes.
Oh yeah, and it was fun. It was fun for me.
I bet.
I liked the attention, of course.
Well, yeah.
As a young girl, I really, didn't ever spend a whole lot of time with him, but I was fascinated by him.
Right.
Because I just, and then I was amazed at all the people that were fascinated by him.
Yeah, all
too.
these stars, George Strait and Willie Nelson, they
yeah.
all just speak highly of him, and how much he influenced their
Absolutely.
their music.
Yeah. So that was always exciting to me.
Well, and
Right.
you just loved music. So,
Yeah.
I mean, my entire life, it's like, I don't know what year that was, but if that's the year Prince came out with Purple Rain, then yeah, I remember, no matter what the genre, my mom had the music on full blast. And so I think it seems like you have a love of music just like he did. And I'm not real sure, I don't want to speak for other children of his, but I'm not real sure that all of his kids really loved it. That, you know what I mean?
Right.
They had other things they liked to and cared
Right.
about. But I think that because my mom felt music so strongly and so passionately, that then to think that these people also recognized her father as being so, that was a really neat
Well,
thing.
I think, it seems to me like, although she wasn't raised around Bob that much, she got more recognition later in life as Bob's daughter than any of his other
Yeah.
kids that he spent more time with.
And I think that has to do with the whole band thing. I think when you've got, unlike say, Led Zeppelin or another where there's these 5 people, with Bob Wills, there was this experience of, maybe 10 to 20 young men had that experience for 3 or 5 years, and then they shared that with their kids and their families, and so that, it's a huge, because I used to wonder, I'd be like, okay, if Bob Wills is dead and this guy was and it was like, okay, I guess he was 19 and my grandpa was 65. That's how that worked,
Right.
Because to be that many people over so many years. But I also thought that I thought Leon Roush was Bob Wills when I was a little girl, just because he wore a hat,
Right.
and I was like, that's who he is.
Right. You were telling us a story before we went on the air that about a time you were supposed to have passes and some other lady had
Yeah.
impersonated your mom or something.
Yeah, well, because it was kind of a little taboo-ish or whatever, I think. Like, fathers didn't interact with their kids from a former marriage when they had remarried and they had new lives. And, all that was just a little bit touchy. But so my mom's kind of asserting herself as this Bob Wills' daughter legacy kind of thing is happening, and it's 1973 or something. She works at San Jose State University, and she lines up these tickets for this Willie Nelson concert. And they get there, and with her 6 friends, and they said, well, his daughter's already been here to pick up the tickets. And my mom said, in my mind, I was like, God, is there another daughter? And then they said, no, someone was just impersonating you. They just took your tickets. Sorry. And then But that was always kind of the running joke, my cousin Andrea and I finally, I think, we were like, we're the first generation where we all come from divorce, and we all, you know, it doesn't have to be this, you know. But I think for my mom's childhood, it was kind of a big deal that her famous father was also, you know, it was, anyway. So
Right. I understand.
couldn't have been all easy breezy. And then as a grown adult woman, there were lots of benefits, and I think they were all well deserved.
Absolutely. You met a lot of big stars, didn't you?
Well,
From being
you know,
his
I'm
daughter.
old enough now. I probably don't even remember
Yeah,
who they
but
were.
Willie Nelson, you knew Willie Nelson.
I'm pretty
you know.
sure
I
she
did
brought
meet a lot.
George straight home to our house one night, unless that was another guy.
What, honey?
There's one of the most famous, Garth Brooks, maybe it was, we'll Google it.
Yeah.
But one of them came home with her after the show, and they were playing, and just like, not home with her, like alone home with her,
Right,
like the
right.
whole band came
Yeah,
to the
just
house.
followed her home.
Yeah, we always were having that happen, you know. But I think it might have been Garth Brooks, and they were playing at like 61st and Sheridan here in Tulsa. They were early in their career, you know.
Right.
But now they're very famous, and I'm trying to remember who it was.
Do you remember going to the dances at Cane's?
Oh yeah, that was a big deal. Everybody loved the Canes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that was our, you know, when we were like teenagers, that was the big thing to do. To
Right.
Go to Canes, you know, that was exciting.
It's still going, too.
I bet it is. I think that's wonderful. I'm so glad.
You ever
Glad
been,
to hear.
Cody?
Yeah, I've been several times. I don't got
Don't
great
remember
memories of
another
it, though, Jimbo.
year.
I was having
You ought
a
to
lot
slow
of fun.
down so you can remember something once in a while.
You're right.
You're right about that.
But
Other people got some great memories of it, though.
Right,
I really
right.
showed out real good a couple times at Cane's.
yeah, well,
Oh yeah.
It's the house
you're
that
not the first one, I'm sure.
Yeah, the house of Bob. Oh, Hank Williams used to sing there too. Even I think
Yeah.
B-52s played there.
everybody's played there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everybody. You know, speaking of Willie Nelson, I was listening to his autobiography the other day, and he said the very first business dealings of any kind he had in any music is he was a young man living around Austin somewhere, and he booked Bob Wills to play a concert just out in the country, and that was the first. And he couldn't believe it when it broke even. He's like, oh my goodness, because Bob Wills, he said, cost $5,000 back then to book him. And he said the whole thing broke even, but that was his very first any kind of music business dealings of any kind. As before he was even singing or songwriting that much or anything.
Right.
He produced this concert down there.
You know, the Rolling Stones, they cut or sang that no matter who's in Austin, Bob Wills is still the king.
Yeah.
You know, how crazy is that?
My phone just went, because I had lived in Austin for about 15 years, but I wasn't living there at the time of that concert. But of course, all my friends that were in Zilker Park were calling me, and I was just like, hold on, what's happening? Is someone dead? And it was just like everybody holding their phones up. The fucking Rolling Stones are singing. It doesn't matter who's in Austin, Bob Wills is still the king. Do you know this? Over and over and over. And I think Mick Jagger even says something like, I don't know who this dude is, but here's the deal, or, you know, something.
Didn't Waylon write that song?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a man. What a man.
I know.
I went on a backpacking trip in Europe, and I, on 3 different times in 3 different countries, went in, and someone was playing some version of San Antonio Rose. Like, you know, it was like in Munich, there was someone on, you know, and I said, that's my grandfather, and they thought he was, is when Dallas, J.R. Ewing was a big thing, and he was like, oh, bang, bang, J.R. Ewing, like he had Clint Eastwood, J.R. Ewing, and Bob Wills were all one man in Munich, Germany, you know.
Oh, he was definitely known all over the world.
You know, every rodeo grand entry and stuff that I remember growing up from the early days before they started playing actual music,
Mm-hmm.
it was San Antonio Rose. It was the
Yeah.
grand entry at almost every rodeo everywhere in
Really?
the whole United States.
I remember as a kid going to those jackpot steer opens and stuff, and the sound, the announcer would bring some music to play before the roping started, and it was always Bob Wills, you know, just Faded Love, San Antonio Rose, all of them, you know, just over and over and over. But
Well, didn't Neil Armstrong start humming something about deep within my heart lies a melody when he was looking at the Earth from the spaceship?
I forgot about that. I think you're right.
Fact check, more fact
Yeah.
checks. I'm gonna sit here on this podcast and just lie through my teeth. No, but that is a fact. But I don't know if I have all the names right.
Right.
The songs and stuff.
And when
One
you
of my
think,
favorite stories is my grandparents they wanted me to meet my dad, and I didn't really know him. And so we go to this place where he's playing music, and they told me, they pulled the car up and parked, and they told me to get out and go over and tell him who I was.
I know it.
And I did. He was absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that
Right.
was
Right.
to him? This little girl shows up and says, "Hi, Daddy."
Yeah.
But I do remember that. I was pretty young when I did that.
Yeah.
I remember the age now, but I was a little kid.
Right.
Who was Johnny Lee Wills to Bob Wills?
Brother. He had several brothers.
Johnny Lee he was.
And Johnny Lee Wills deserves a lot of credit for holding down the fort at the
Yes,
for the KVOO noon broadcast.
Yeah.
A lot of people always
was
credit Bob
talented.
Wills with it, and he actually stayed put. I'm sounding like I'm just really anti-Bob Wills for some reason, but he stayed in Tulsa and didn't go on the road and raised his family here and did that noon broadcast all the time and for years and years and years, and no one ever really says it like that.
Right. But he had several brothers, Luke and Billy Jack.
Lots of musicians on the Johnny
Yeah.
Lee Wills family.
Right.
Yeah, there are.
I think I read that Billy Jack actually wrote the lyrics to Fade to Love, just threw them together real quick when they needed them one time. I think that's in the book. But
Ain't that something?
I know it. An iconic song like that, and they just threw the lyrics together, and they were just so good.
I was watching some old footage of Bob Wills the other day, leading his big band somewhere. I don't even know where it was. He had 2 6-shooters on his side, Jimbo.
Yeah.
I don't think it was part of his costume or anything. The way he was going around, I think he wore them around like he's Doc Holliday or something.
Well, maybe, yeah. But he was a good cowboy. He rode horses, had horses and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of that. Yeah.
He had a stable down here at this house we were talking about.
Yeah.
He had a stable with, 12, 14 horses, because he wanted all his band members to ride too, and they'd come out on Sundays and ride with him. I've seen several pictures of him on a horse. He was a pretty good horseman. Your mom later married Rainbow Cloud.
Yes.
And put this in the small world category, but he was a good friend of my family.
Oh, Rainbow was a wonderful man.
Right.
Wonderful man. I mean, you couldn't get a better person.
He was a pipeliner.
He was
And-
great. He was so kind, so nice. Yeah. Good man, really.
He had a reputation as a great shot with a
Or
rifle.
just say hi to him or
And
something.
I've actually got a set of deer horns in my house, Cody, that her stepdad, they've been there my whole life, but the legend was that Rainbow Cloud shot that deer at 150 yards on the run with open sight 30-30. He was the best shot around.
Yeah.
What they said.
Yeah.
And that was her
He was
stepdad,
a good
Rainbow
man.
Cloud. He was a pipeliner.
That's a cool name he had.
Oh, isn't that a cool name, Rainbow Cloud?
He was an Irish man who got a nickname. He wasn't really that cool, but or he was that cool. But I always thought I thought that my mom lived with Black Hawk Parker and Rainbow Cloud, and that they were, in my imagination, they were these huge, tall Indian men. And it turns out that wasn't at all the case.
Yeah. When did he die, Rainbow Cloud?
But he died in when Donna was 14, and my mom was 11 years older than Donna, so 40, like 1960 something.
In the 60s,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't remember him, not old enough to remember him, but I've heard my uncles talk about him. I've heard of Rainbow Cloud my whole life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And maybe it's just that name just stuck, I remember
We got
that
company,
name.
I see.
I think he was also a very good golfer.
Yeah.
Pawhuska's got a golf course, I believe, and that was something
Yeah.
he and Mary Lou really enjoyed.
Hey there, old
Right.
big dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, some of my neighbors will actually dial 911 because they think that the animals are suffering And there's lots of people with lots of time to worry about other people's animals.
Well, they look like they're in good condition to me.
I know, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Well, he was quite a life. He was just bigger. He was bigger than life. You know, if that's
Yeah,
possible.
he was something else, I'll tell you. He really
I
was.
saw a thing where there was the history of rock and roll, and there was the tree trunk, and then the branches and all of that, and my grandpa was in the roots.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Yeah, he
pretty
was.
neat.
He
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
was. So much.
Yeah.
I think they credit Faded Love with the first country song, don't they, Jimbo?
I don't know. I
Like
don't
the
know.
beginnings.
It's a neat song. Well, I just feel privileged to get to come down here today, Cody. And
I know. Look at you over there, Jimbo.
I know.
Sitting right between them both.
I know it, but like I say, it's just, you know, you're just in awe of Bob Wills, and to meet his granddaughter and his daughter is pretty special.
It's interesting that they got such a local connection to us too. You know.
Right,
Up
right.
there.
That
there in
Rosetta was
Osage
born and
County,
raised
right here
in
in Tulsa.
Pawhuska.
I didn't realize that the radio show went on here, and Bob Wills and Johnny Lee did it every day at noon. I
Yeah.
thought it was probably one day a week or something. Heck, I had
Yeah, no,
idea.
you could set your clock by it. And like I say, people were upset when Bob was up there at the Pawhuska Hospital while you were being born. Interrupted the radio show.
Yeah, I knew that he had deep roots here, but I didn't realize what such deep roots he had here. I mean, I'm glad we did this because I learned a lot today myself, Jimbo.
Right, right.
But both Tulsa and Pawhuska are really blowing up with all the historical things going on. You know, Kane's Ballroom is 100 years this year, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all need to come up to Pawhuska and
Yeah.
check it out.
I know, Pawhuska is interesting because they do that school reunion that's not just for it's like a 5-year class reunion, or, maybe even a 10-year. You could have gone to anyway, we'll go to
Right.
the reunion one of these
And
years.
Cody's put together a really nice museum up there called the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum,
Oh, cool.
and you need to come check that out.
Okay, all right.
It's world class.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we need to put a display in there about Bob real soon. Don't know why. I don't know why we haven't done it yet. Honestly, Jimbo.
I don't either, not with his Osage County connection, because he played up there so much. There's even a picture of him in the book where he's playing outside there in front of the Triangle Building
Oh wow.
for some kind of deal there, Christmas time, I think it was. And just a few months after that, he come out with San Antonio Rose, his biggest hit. So he was right in the
Went
peak
from
of his career.
Hamburgers to steaks. When he put out San Antonio Rose, that's always what he always said. Let's do the one that took us from hamburgers to steaks.
To steaks. I imagine it did.
Yeah, if I've heard it once, I've heard it 5,000 times, Jimbo.
I know.
San Antonio Rose.
I know it. It's kind of mesmerizing.
It is.
I like stay all night.
Yeah.
Ain't that something, they knew he was going to be driving through Barnsdall on Sundays on his way up to see
And they'd line the
Rosetta's
street.
mom, and they lined the streets just to wave at him on
I
the way
know.
by.
I know.
Do you
That's
think
how big he
could have
was.
been kind of like the Grateful Dead for the 30s?
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah. he
Because
had-
the community and the dancing and the I just wonder if all the people that went to those dances, if when they got there, it was that same thing, like, oh, I saw you at the last dance, I'll see you at the next dance.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hey, and is the guy, Jason, what's his name, Burson or Burleson, that
Yeah.
leads the band now? He's actually George Strait's fiddle player. He just played the fiddle for that record-breaking concert for him down in College Station, Texas, 110,000 people.
Wow.
And then he was in Pawhuska the next week
Yeah.
with the band.
Yeah.
With Robert Plant. No,
Yeah,
just kidding.
hanging out with Robert Plant. Yeah, we had Robert Plant in town the other day too. We've had a lot of crazy, famous people just passing through town.
Pawhuska's got it going on. People need to come check it out.
Yeah, they sure do. The girl, the cook,
Pioneer Woman.
Pioneer Woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a fun store to go to.
They just had their big patriotic party on the prairie yesterday. Had Jake Hooker and the Outsiders, and they play a lot of Bob Wills music.
Yeah.
Turkey, Texas, and Pawhuska, Oklahoma, and then if you want to go big time, you can go to Tulsa.
That's right.
Lot to do. Lot to see.
You can just feel the old history in that old Canes when you go in it too, Jimbo. They haven't changed it hardly any
Well, now I got to fact check you.
Okay.
They had not changed it at all, and it was like 3 bathroom stalls and a nightmare. They kept the original stage, and it's still just as awesome. But a man named Dr. Rogers and his wife, they bought the Canes and they did a complete remodel, and it's really nice.
Right.
They updated it some,
It's
which
all
needed a
nice
little
now.
updating, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of the original dance floor is still the same. Some of it isn't, but some
Yeah,
of it is.
they did the dance floor and the stage, but
All the
then
same.
everything else had to, because it was really falling
Well, they had to put some air
Yeah.
conditioning and stuff
Yeah,
in
I
place.
was
It's
gonna
getting
say.
hot this time of year, and they're trying to dance without it.
It was
Yeah.
pretty, yeah.
They had to update the bathrooms, put some air conditioners in
And
there.
then across the street from the Canes is that, there's like the,
Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. It's the
the Bob Dylan Museum.
yeah, Bob Dylan is
The
that's
Bob Dylan
wild.
Museum about music, and then there's another music museum thing.
Woody
across the
Guthrie,
street.
I think, of
There
some
you
kind.
go.
Yeah. Bob Dylan wanted his museum
It's
right
really
beside
good.
Woody Guthrie's because he was his hero.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
just wondering what, when they put that in, why is Bob Dylan's tied to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's Woody Guthrie.
Really?
It's
Okay.
Woody Guthrie. Ain't that something?
Huh.
And Bob Wills too.
Yeah.
Major influence on him.
Right.
Oh, now there's a good story. My mom was at work one day and she got a phone call, and the lady said, "Rosetta, Merle Haggard's on line 3. And when my mom picked up the phone, he said, "I was just thinking, Bob Wills, Woody Guthrie, and Elvis are all in a band together," or something like that. He said. She
Ain't
had
that
seen,
something?
yeah,
It
she had
is.
seen Merle Haggard at a concert and given him her business card, and so
Right.
he's drunk as a skunk the next day. Out of nowhere, the secretary on the intercom, "Rosetta, Merle Haggard's on." It's like 1993.
You just want to be in the aura of someone that's great even through their kids,
Oh, yeah.
grandkids, or anybody. I mean,
I
look
know when I look at some of the pictures of Bob Wills up there, I'm going to look at them closer when we get done, but just crazy.
Yeah, she has lots of good stuff that's still at her house in Turkey that we haven't moved here into my home, but so we'll do another podcast. We can read all of her diaries too.
When is-
she has all her diaries
Oh, very
growing
good.
up as his daughter?
you should definitely put those out.
They're
in a
so
book.
sweet.
Well,
Turkey, Texas. When do they have that? Bob
It's
Day.
the
Bob
last
Wills Day.
Saturday in April is the Bob Wills Day, and then the first Saturday of March is when Canes does a birthday party as well.
Excellent. Well, if you haven't been to the Big Bob Wills Days down in Turkey, get there next year because it's a good time. I don't remember much of it. It's a dang good time.
Rosetta, we sure appreciate you visiting with us today.
Well, I was very glad to do this.
Well-
It's fun to do it.
I think people will really enjoy hearing from you, too.
Good. I hope so.
And you too, Renee. Thanks
you
for the
very
help.
much. All right, yeah.
It's
Hope
just
I
been
didn't lie
great.
too
Yeah.
much.
It's just been great.
Sure has.
Good.
Well, is that all you got for us today, Jimbo?
I guess just saving history.
That's right. That's right. Everyone don't forget, no matter who's down in Texas,
Bob
Bob
Wills.
Wills still the king.
That's
all
right. Amen to that.
All right. Y'all get to the museum, come to the jewelry store, come to the Indian taco place.
Cody, I've gained 3 pounds since that saucy calf opened.
They got a res burger now there. It's a hamburger inside a fry bread with all the fixings. It's one of the best things I've ever eaten, Jimbo. It's so good.
I'm sure.
It's so good. Get over the saucy calf. Gain some weight if you need to gain some weight.
Right.
'Cause you're guaranteed no healthy food in there.
Right.
All right. Share it. Leave us a comment. It means a lot to us. And
Sure
we'll
does.
see y'all next
Good
week.
ones.
We
Yeah.
read every one of them. I try to respond to them.
Jimbo responds to them and I read them.
Yeah.
And I read Jimbo's responses. Good job, Jimbo.
And then I respond to the responses.
Okay. Don't leave a bad one because she's going to get on you.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Later.